name is Yamato Katoka. I graduated university last year in Japan. And when I was a student, I installed a central server and security servers for my local environment and try out some sample applications with that. And now I'm working as an engineer at Planetway Japan. And Planetway is running Exode instance in Japan. And also I'm working on personal project, and I'm gonna talk about it in this presentation. So feel free to connect with me on Exode community Slack, GitHub, and LinkedIn. All right, so let's talk about Exode Drive. So first I explain a little bit about the background of Exode Drive. So in my experience, a sample file service, which is called Exode Drive service, Exode file service, helps me a lot to understand Exode technology. So if you're interested in, you can go to the below link and you can try out. But for now, this Exode Drive file service only supported SOAP API. So I think it's good to go with REST API. That's one of the reason I created Exode Drive, which is also a file service, but it uses REST API. While working on Exode in Japan, I noticed we can take more advantage of metadata. So I will demonstrate how to use metadata in this presentation and in my application. So in short summary, I created file service over Exode. It uses REST API and also metadata with metadata service and admin API. About admin API, it is introduced in the latest version of security server to do some administrative stuff with REST API. All right, so this is the whole overview of Exode Drive implementation. So Exode Drive service can be installed on the both sides of security servers, and Exode Drive will act as both as a client and provider, and then they send their files back and forth between security servers. All right, so let's take a look at demo. So first, I'll explain the overview of the Exode Drive user interface. So as you see here, there's a three menus on the navigation drawer. The first thing is our files. There's a list of files that's stored on our current file storage. So technically, that's not related to Exode. The next is shared with us. So if you click the shared with us, there is a list of organizations, which are Exode Drive service providers. So if you click the provider company one, then there's a list of files that are stored on the provider company one, and then we can access. So for example, we can download the file to my local computer. So as you see here, cool. The last one is shared with others. If you click the shared with the others, then there's a list of company names, which are our clients. So for example, if you click the company name, then there is a list of files that's stored on our current file storage, and company 3 can access those files. All right, so this is the overview of the Exode Drive user interface. So next, I will demonstrate how to upload a file to the provider company 1 here with curl command. So let's go to the terminal. Here's a example curl command here. So let's take a look one by one. The first thing is request method. There's a post method. So to upload the file. And there's a header. We specified an Exode Drive client. So there is a Exode member information here. This information is ourselves. So we have a security server with test client subsystem. And as a multi-platform data, we're gonna upload an uppercase sample image to PNG. So let's check the sample image like this, Exode icon. In the request URL, we'll send this request to the security server, and I installed the security server on my local computer. So we're gonna send to localhost. And in the middle of the request URL, we specified Exo Drive service provider information. So there's a they have Exo Drive service and test service subsystem. And also there's a relative path for the Exo Drive REST API. Let's run this command. Then there you go. This is the request part and the latter part of the response. And there is a response body, and there is a file name and uppercase sample image.png. Now we succeeded to upload the file to the provider company 1 via security servers. So if we go back to the Exo Drive user interface, so there you go, uppercase sample image is in the provider company 1. So we can download again to my local computer, and you can see the Exo Drive icon. Cool. So that's all my presentation. That's all the demonstration. So hopefully you can get a good intuition about my application. So let's go back to the presentation slide. So here, next, I will explain how it works with the metadata service and admin API. So as I said, the Exo Drive service will act as both as client and provider. So when we act as client, we're going to use provider information, Exo service provider information. And then we can use this information to code their service REST API. And also when we act as provider, we're going to use our client's information. And we can use this information to show off to the end users, and so that they can understand which organization can possibly access their file storage. So those informations are useful. So let's take a look one by one how to get those information with the metadata service and admin API. So first, when we act as client, we're going to get all potential providers using the metadata service. So in the below diagram, to simplify, I get rid of unnecessary components. But Exo Drive is installed on both sides of client and provider. And in this case, client-side Exo Drive will call the metadata service to their own security server. And there is an example curl command here. So we're going to accept the JSON format only, and we're going to consume list client method on the metadata service. So as you notice, it's a little bit confusing because list client method name, but we're going to get all potential providers. So please be careful. So when you run this curl command, then there's a list of members information, which are providers. So we can use these informations to consume their service. All right, so on the other hand, when we act as provider, we're gonna get all possible clients using admin API. So in the below diagram, in this case, provider side Exo Drive service will call the admin API to their own security server. So again, there's an example curl command. There's a header, and we specify the authorization header to for the Exo API key. And in the request URL, we specified our services provider information. So here's we have Exo Drive service and provider subsystem. And we're gonna get the service clients. So this is the example response from security servers. And as you notice, there's a little bit different formats comparing to metadata service. So here's the ID key, the information itself is very similar. So here's the ID key, is represented the Exodus member information. And also there's a name, which is our organization name. So you can use those information to show off the indices, and they can understand which organization can access their service. So this is the overview of how to use metadata. So in summary, I created file service, and I believe it's helped you to understand Exodus technology. So I recommend you to try out the original Exodus file service and my application. Also, I demonstrated how to use metadata with metadata service and admin API. So in my application context, metadata service provides us provider information, and admin API provides us client information. But please note, there's a lot more endpoints on both metadata service and admin API. So if you're interested in, you can go to the below link and you can find suitable endpoints for information you want. And also, we found out there's some confusing parts, so like different formats comparing to metadata service and admin API. So please be careful. So before finishing that, I will give you some information about my Exo Drive GitHub repository. So if you're interested in, you can go to the below link and you can spin it up the exact same demo environment that we show off in this presentation with Docker Compose command. So feel free to try out. And also this Exo Drive application is completely free. So pull requests and collaborations are all welcome. So thank you for listening my presentation. So any questions? That's it.
Okay, nice. Do we have Yamato? Are you there?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Thank you very much. Where are you sitting? Are you in Japan? Where are you, sir?
Yes, it's 9 o'clock here in Japan. Okay. It's a beautiful night tonight.
9 o'clock in the evening. Okay, nice.
Yeah.
Very good. I wish that we were allowed to travel to Japan. I like Japan and Tokyo very much. Unfortunately, I'm not allowed to come yet, but as soon as it is allowed, I will be visiting Tokyo for sure.
Yes, me too. I wanted to go to Estonia and in the studio, but I couldn't in this, unfortunately.
Okay. What prompted you to create this service? What was your sort of use case? Was it just purely a technical proof of concept, or was there some greater framework or idea that you were hoping to put this into?
Yes, that comes from my personal experience. So before I joined the Planet Way, I tried some applications to understand Exo technology. So, but those applications supported only SOAP API. So I think it's good to go REST API. And also there is some possibilities of metadata service and admin API. And so I'm grateful to try out. And that's one of the reasons I created Exo Drive.
Okay. One of the most interesting parts of this is because earlier in the day we were talking, I forget who I was speaking to now. We've spoken to so many people today about sending big files over the X road, and that really the original architecture was about sending messages. It was about pushing documents back and forth. I might have to look up my government data. I might have to look up my healthcare information. And now these days, more and more, we need to push large amounts of data, gigabytes possibly.
Yes.
You know, I appreciate you've just done a proof of concept, but in this case. But what are your thoughts on the ability of the X-Road to handle large files right now? Is it possible? Or do you think that greater architecture changes need to be made to better support this?
I see. So that's a big question, but I think we can send files between security servers already, and also I think it depends on the server performance rather than architecture, and so and also hopefully my application is designed to help people who new to XO technology to understand XO technologies. So yeah, hopefully, yeah, that's it.
That's okay. And I think everyone has understood this is a proof of concept. It was a learning exercise for you, but it's also an interesting thing. How could this work? Because this is a logical next step. This is something that businesses and governments will need to send files and eventually send larger ones. So it's interesting proof of concept that you've made there. Do you think that?
Thank you.
Do you think that the transfer, like the speed and the number of the size of the file, do you think that's going to have an effect on the security server? So just thinking, if you're just thinking more broadly rather than just your solution, right? Thinking with a little bit of maybe crystal ball. If we're going to be putting big files down the X road, that's going to be pushing them through the security server. And is this possibly going to be putting extra load on the security server? We've already spoken today that the security server can be quote unquote expensive to run if it's got to be set up on its own machine. And if we're doing this sidecar Docker install of the X-Road where we can install the security server on the same machine, the same instance as the backend, is it a concern, do you think, that when we're sending big files, well, we might start to really affect the security server and that might affect the rest of the infrastructure? I realize I've said a lot of words there, but what are your general thoughts in that area?
Okay. Okay, so first of all, I have to think about the performance and security, and it's vice versa. It depends on how to choose those options. Like when we wanted to more performance, then especially in security servers, there's sign keys and auth keys, and there's there's specific procedures to sign the message log a lot of times. So that will be affect the performance of the security servers. And then especially when you send a lot of single messages over the security servers. So it could be helpful to send one big file at the time. It's going to be safe for a performance point of view.
Okay, that's interesting. And that's an interesting point of view that does make a certain amount of sense. The overhead, the setup and tear down so much of the cryptography of each individual file may provide a greater overhead, and actually sending one big old file will be different to sending many, many smaller files. So certainly the use cases of sending files over the X-Road need to be thought out, and it's very good that you are highlighting these issues for us. So I think we'll leave it there today for you. Thank you very much, Yamato. Thank you for your contribution, sir.
Thank you.